All right. Say yes, yes, yes. It's hard not to be in a good space when you're listening to that song with yes, yes, yes. And as told you guys earlier, we have a wonderful special guest today. And I say that because her name is Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. She has been in New she has been in New Thought for more than 4 decades. During this time, she has actively served CSL and the Unity Spiritual Communities and is currently the spiritual director and senior minister of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Sunshine Michelle is a native of the Northern California Bay Area and currently resides in Oakland. Her professional career has been in human resource for 25 years in many industries. Reverend Sunshine Michelle currently serves on the CSL Global Themes team, and she is the author of the June CSL theme on holy boldness. She is co chair of the CSL Spiritually Motivated and Socially Engaged Committee. Oh, that sounds great. And designed a circle series on racial healing in 2021 for CSL Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, which is commonly referred to as BIPOC. The ministers, practitioners, and laity. For the ministers, practitioners, and laity. She led the facilitator team in delivering that series for several hundred people. Reverend Sunshine Michelle has a passion for exploring and uncovering the true, authentic self. She is an author, designer, and facilitator of inspirational workshops, and it is a convener of sacred circles, rituals, and ceremonies. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman. Take it away, Reverend Dr. Sunshine.
Thanks so much, Barbara. I appreciate the introduction and the prayer earlier. And I too love that video by Reverends Melissa and Z. And Grand Rising, everyone. Happy Sunday. What a beautiful day to be alive. And I join Barbara and the team with wishing those who fall in the category of a father or father figure, happy Father's Day. We need you in the world. Thank you so much for all of your efforts and your contributions. And happy Juneteenth next week. Happy Pride Month. Happy life. It's just good to be alive today, don't you think? I like to start my talks with a community collective breath. And I do that because it helps us to, in my mind, to breathe into that one breath of the infinite. So whether we're in person or virtual as we are, we still have to breathe, don't we? So we might as well do it in community. So the way I like to do that is by asking you, inviting you to first exhale right where you are. Just let it go. Just exhale. And now breathe in a breath easily and slowly, filling your lungs. Hold it at the top. Let it out with a sigh. Ah. Twice more. Breathing in deeply, easily. Hold it. Let it out with a sigh. Ah. Once more. More deeply. More breath. And hold it. And now with a bigger sigh, release it. Ah. And now just simply allow your breath to easily come in and out. It is the breath of life. It is that beautiful gift of life that we are all blessed with. As was mentioned, our Centers for Spiritual Living global themes this year is a grand rising. It's an opportunity for us to step into the more. And Lord knows we need it, don't we? We need to shift the thinking into that more that makes it a world that works for all. And this month, as Barbara mentioned, in June, we're focusing on holy boldness, which I'll talk about. And the theme for this week is unbounded and unstoppable. Unbounded and unstoppable. The divine qualities I'll be focusing on are freedom. I like to tell you that so you'll be looking for it and you can take it into your week. This is not a one-time thing. I want you to take it into your week, into your day, into your moments, into your spiritual practice. So we're focusing on freedom and choice, movement and change, surrender, courage, tenacity, and radical trust. So, as Barbara mentioned, I wrote the themes this month for Holy Boldness. And where I got that term from, and I think it may be out there in the world, it's only one mind. I got it from my maternal grandmother, whom I lovingly call Grammy-O. She's an ancestor now. But Grammy-O told me years ago when I was talking to her, she said, honey, she's very religious, very, very religious, and she didn't do anything without prayer and without talking to God. And she said, honey, I am wholly bold in God. And I thought, oh my goodness, I love that. So I've appropriated it myself and I've been using it ever since. I just love the notion of being wholly bold in God, where I think the way she meant it is that she was unstoppable in God. There was nothing she couldn't do. And that's what we believe in the science of mind, in infinite possibilities. And that's what we're focused on today. And when we focus on this, we get to live life with gusto and verve. And the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves and possible perceptions of obstacles. And I know some may say, well, there's lots of things holding me back, but it doesn't really have to. Here's an example. Mother Harriet Tubman, her experiences and her circumstances were extreme, but she didn't let anything deter her. Her attitude, her outlook, her willingness, her perseverance, her persistence, her resilience. We can adapt that in being wholly bold and unstoppable and unbounded. It's a sacred knowing from deep within us that we can tap into that courage. And, I mentioned tenacity, and keen listening, like listening from within and really tapping into that innate knowingness to drive us forward. And as we partner with Spirit, all things really are possible. We're the only ones that present barriers and limitations. Sure, society does. There's things that may appear to hold us back. But if we have the consciousness, I believe it's all about consciousness. If we have the consciousness of being unbounded and unstoppable, then that's the mantle that we take on. Then we can feel irrepressible, like you can't suppress me. I can't be restrained. That I am liberated and lifted no matter what. That I have faith, I have strength, I have trust in this unlimited potential that we believe in of the infinite that is all around us. Has anybody felt unstoppable ever? Especially when we're young and we just feel like we can do anything. And there's other times as well where we just feel like we're so driven by a passion that we have to do it. Have to. And let me tell you, I cannot stress this enough. Please listen closely. We sorely need this attitude of being unstoppable and unbounded now during these tough times. Don't give up. I'm here to tell you, you know it too. But I'm hearing it, I'm saying it from my voice. Don't give up. Persevere on no matter what the problems are. Use your spiritual principles, use your practices, use your tools in hyperdrive, like all the time, to avert all the distractions and the deterrents that are trying to take us off our game. And if we let it, it will. It will. This doesn't mean, though, that we're invincible. You know, some people feel like I'm unstoppable, so I can do anything. Well, yeah, you can do anything within reason, right? Within the perspective of what you're capable of doing and beyond, and stretching yourself. And we also want to avoid arrogance. We don't want to be arrogant in life, feeling like, yes, I'm so unstoppable. You can't stop me. Let's put some love and compassion in there. And oh, by the way, let's add a little self-care, shall we? A little deep self-care? Because even though you're unstoppable, sometimes you and me, let me claim it for me, don't want to exhaust ourselves without replenishing. So that self-care is really, really important. It takes sacred audacity. That was one of our topics earlier this month. And holy boldness for us to breathe in being unbounded and unstoppable. Maybe you've never thought of yourself that way, but today you can. Let's do that together, shall we? And, being bold and bodacious, it takes fierce courage to do that. And it also takes being humble. Sometimes you wouldn't think those two go together, but to be unstoppable, I believe you have to be humble. You have to be able to listen in and be teachable. And so that's what that means. We can't be unbounded and unstoppable unless we prevent ourselves or we allow someone else to bind or to stop us. Did you hear what I said? It's an inside job. It's a state of consciousness, just like freedom is. When I think of freedom, I think of Father Nelson Mandela, who allowed himself the space to be unbounded and unstoppable within himself, even though he was incarcerated for 27 years. He was free. He was totally free. I loved his state of consciousness that he had. Same with Mother Harriet Tubman. She knew no one could stop her. Can you just imagine as many enslaved people as she helped get to freedom? And she kept risking and putting herself back in that situation in harm's way for herself in order to support freeing others. You know, she had to feel unstoppable and like she wasn't bound by anything. What did that take? It took extreme faith and extreme trust and radical trust. Like, what is radical trust for you? How can you get radical trust? And I believe that's what she had, even despite fear. I believe Mother Harriet Tubman had to have had some uncertainty and some fear at some point, but not enough to let it stop her. So if she can do that, I believe we can do that. I believe no matter what we're facing, we can do the same thing. Here's what our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said. When the soul knows freedom, the law will free the body, and the outer life will express health, happiness, and success. So at that soul level is where we can focus our attention on being unstoppable and unbounded. And so I like to ask rhetorical questions. Maybe we can talk about it in the discussion afterwards. What barriers and boundaries are you working with? Are we working with from within? And are they voluntary or involuntary? Like, did we erect them, those boundaries? Or did someone else? Did we allow someone else? And there's no binds, no confines. If there weren't any, would we feel free or would we be terrified? You know, in our thoughts, we kind of presume that, oh my goodness, if I had, $1 million, millions of dollars, or if I had this thing that feels untouchable, that I'll be this thing. I'll be free. I'll be whatever it is we attach to that. Is that true? Maybe, maybe not. It could be just the opposite. Like if there were no boundaries or no confines, even in our perception, perhaps we'd freeze. Perhaps we wouldn't know what to do. If we had those millions of dollars, would we just like binge on material things that we've been socialized in society? Perhaps. But that's what we can look at today. What would we do if the walls came tumbling down and we truly felt as an individual and as a society that we're free? That the world, as Centers for Spiritual Living says, that's our vision, right? We want to make this a world that works for everyone. What does that look like? As a people, what does it look like for us to be unstoppable and unbounded? As I was preparing this talk, a song came to mind from my Unity days, and I think they still probably sing this song. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. So let's claim that. Do we really believe that? The topic of Juneteenth, this topic in Juneteenth, our celebration of national independence, comes next week, just falls so well right here in Unstoppable and Unbounded. Juneteenth is the celebration of the end of slavery in the United States. And this happened 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Slavery continued in Galveston, Texas, even as the proclamation was signed. They received the news belatedly because, some slave owners wanted to continue the trade. And it said that there's 250,000 Black Americans who were still enslaved as freedom rang. Just think about that. I saw a beautiful quote yesterday by American historian and law professor Annette Gordon-Reed that said, Juneteenth was never about commemorating a delayed proclamation, but about celebrating a people's enduring spirit. Isn't that lovely? I thought that was beautiful. That's being unbounded and unstoppable. That's being resilient and bountiful and powerful and magnificent as our ancestors were. There's a popular song back in the day that said, "Ain't no stopping us now." And the song was, you may be familiar with it, the song was about, staying clear of people who, had negative vibes and try to keep us down. But instead that we can get our act together and be on the move and not let them stop us. That's what unstoppable means. It's freedom, it's liberty. And we certainly need to develop that in these important times. And sometimes, it's so much going on in the world. I don't want to insinuate that we have to stay in this up beat. Sometimes we feel low. We feel confined within ourselves. And then we think, I don't know how unstoppable I feel. I had a bout with that this week. All of a sudden I felt cloaked with the emotion. You know what the emotion was when I touched it? Defeat. I felt defeated. And it was hard to shake it. And it just really stopped me in my tracks. And I came home from work and all I could do was go to bed. It was awful. But you know what? If I would have resisted that, then I would have been pushing through a moment when my body, my mind, my spirit was telling me to pause, to rest. We need to acknowledge that. That's that self-care. Have you heard of that saying, what we resist persists? We don't want to push past that because it's important for us to restore ourselves. And just because we slow down or we allow our vulnerability to shine or come forth does not mean that we're not unstoppable, that we're not unbounded. Some people think that we always have to be up, but vulnerability and allowing ourselves to just be where we are is a strength, and it's so required in these moments. That we need to allow ourselves to feel however we are without repressing it And what that does is allow us to springboard upward when the time passes. It's all really important for us to heal and to ground. Eckhart Tolle, you may have heard of him, says, he's a well-known author, New Thought author. He says, to know yourself as the being underneath the thinker, the stillness underneath the mental noise, the love and joy underneath the pain is freedom, salvation, and enlightenment. You know, I have an example of this, what could have been a low moment, but it actually wasn't as nearly as much as it could have been. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been dealing with my car being stolen from my driveway. Yes, from my driveway. I came out the next day and it was not there. Nobody heard a thing, saw a thing. Long and short of it is, they found the car, police, after the police and the insurance and the repair shop, and, it was just quite an ordeal. And the invasion of your privacy, of someone taking something or having malintent, hurt my feelings. But, my mind, my spirit turned immediately to abundance and to gratitude. That's why spiritual practices are so important for us to be immersed in, because when we hit those moments, those low moments, it will carry us and remind us of who we are and whose we are. So I got my car back yesterday, restored, repaired, and I just got a chance to look back and let it be a lessons learned. But I was at choice as to how I handled that situation. Whether I allowed myself to feel like a victim or whether I allowed myself to be the victor and to be triumphant, because I'm unstoppable. I'm unbounded. Just because you take my car doesn't mean you can't deter me. And guess what? There are a lot of folks that are out there that are trying to take us off our game. Don't let them. We have choice about that. There's a popular singer these days that has this song I love. The words say, "You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul unless I let you." They don't say that. She doesn't say that in the song, but basically it's saying you can't break my spirit. But we have to have in our toolbox, in our toolkit, those things that help our spirit stay maintained and motivated and inspired to have that, release that we need of stress, or release of tension, or whatever it is that we have or need. That's what we can do with that. When we can claim our power, reclaim our own power, we've tossed out procrastination or fear. If we do that, we're on the move and we can dance to our internal beat. It's empowerment. You won't break my soul. I don't care what you do or what you say. But we have to have that conviction, right? We have to have that confidence. We have to be undaunted by the labels that are out there, or the things that may hold us down, regardless of what other people think. This is when we can find this courage. This helps people to come out of the closet, whatever the closet is that you're hiding from, that you have the courage. And I'm unstoppable, and I'm going to be who I was created to be, because that's my ordained birthright. And this is bravery. This is strength. This is holy boldness. This is confidence and conviction. This is the way. Ernest Holmes says, the only reason a person is limited is that they have not allowed the divine within them to have let me start again. The only reason a person is limited is that they have not allowed the divine within them to more completely express. So we have to allow God to express through us as this faith and this trust, this radical trust, and not feel bounded, not feel bound up. This divine connection that we have, to nurture it, and to spurn it forward. We do that through our spiritual practices. And when we do it, this pathway leads to being unstoppable in God, in this holy boldness, and having an unbounded freedom from within to express fully and completely just as we are and just as we were meant to be. Then we walk with holy boldness, emblazoned from within, shining our inner light brightly for all to witness. It's so beautiful. It's not easy, but it's beautiful and it's worth the effort. And so as I bring this to a close, I want to leave you with this last quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he says, "Freedom is not the right to live as we please, but the right to find how often." I'm not saying these quotes right today. Let me start again. Freedom is not the right to live as we please, but the right to find how we ought to live in order to fulfill our potential. It's all about holy boldness. It's all about being unstoppable and unbounded. Blessed be.